Okay, it's 5:08, let's call the meeting to order. Get the meeting started with, first item on the agenda is approval of September Commission meeting minutes. Al, you here? Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the minutes be accepted as recorded.
Perfect. Second? They get sent out, they get sent out via email. For you to review. Okay, Andrea, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, nay. Good.
Does it carry? Yes.
Carried, yep. Item number 2, new business. Anyone want to address any new business? Anything that's not on the agenda? Coming up?
You know what, I just wanted to ask about, I saw the rail trail that goes behind, Walgreens.
Yeah.
Right down, and I was just wondering, because it was closed off, I don't know if it's open now, but what was going on?
So they, DOT, so DOT had to paint the bridge, that crosses over 9W. So they've been painting, that.
Because I see people still walking on it, you know, and I'm like, what if they come to the end of the road and there's nowhere to go?
Yeah, I mean, that's why people really should pay attention to signage. They should follow that directive. It's there for a reason. It's not even our project. So, you know, when we're given that directive, we have to follow it and just want the public to be safe about it. So that is a good point. You know, there could be construction going on. I mean, in this case, it is painting. But I believe, like, if you drive on 9W, you can see it's kind of covered off and everything. But I do believe that's gonna be opening up next week, I think. They're wrapping up soon.
Thank you.
Action discussion items, updates, Lindsay?
Yes, okay, so I will start with progress report on the Midtown Center. Today we actually had a site visit, and the facility does look great. It's really, I'm actually gonna show you guys a little video if you wanna just kind of pass it around. Fortunately, I don't have a way of sharing it at this moment, but see what the interior looks
That's the
like.
inside?
Yep,
Oh, crap.
Oh, wow.
you see that?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the balcony, the painting and everything, that's not, that's not done.
I like the brick though.
Yeah, the colors are gonna be consistent with the kitchen, so it's kind of like a light gray, kind of the blue that you see on the stage there. To keep everything consistent, but we're leaving the brick, at least that was the, you know,
Yeah, I know, I saw it.
it's gonna be lead locked,
I
so that
love the
way.
bricks. I think that's.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's, so it's gonna stay like that?
Yes, but
Oh, nice.
there's gonna be a coating over it to lead lock any
Yeah.
paint that
Oh,
is
okay.
seeped through the brick over time.
That's nice.
So it will be safe.
Are they doing the balcony?
The balcony has been, all the leading was removed from there as well, yes. Yeah, the paint, again, the color, the green you see there, that's gonna be, changed as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's coming together nicely.
Do we have like a projection of when it'll be done?
So we're doing this in phases because, we have early voting starting soon. So we were allowed in there only because they gave the clean, bill of health, basically they gave we received a letter saying that it was now safe for us to be in the building. So the mayor, Jack, the project manager, Novo, of course, and then the contractors were there with us, and we did, a site visit and looked at everything, and tried to discuss, that's when we try to figure out, are we painting, are we not painting, and ultimately, I think it was decided that the exposed brick, I mean, it just kind of brought it back to
Yeah.
glory days.
Yeah.
Looks super rustic and, you know, kind of how it was intended to be.
Right.
You know, when the paint, as we've seen over time, if there happens to be a leak or any damage, paint starts to peel, it starts to, you know, wear down, and this maintenance wise will be, thank you. You know, I think will be better. And just the look of it, I love the way it looks, so we're all really excited about that. Our staff are probably not gonna return full-time until after Columbus Day. Just because they have to make sure the floorboards are taken care of, there's just kind of like the cleanup work. So they're going to be painting certain areas until it's time for early voting, which I believe begins at the end of the month. And then I think it's likely they're gonna have to continue painting till like early to mid-November. But they should be done in time for the Hullabaloo, which is, the week of the 18th. Also adult volleyball will be starting that same week, so if
They started, well, that starts in
December, yeah, so they'll definitely be done by then. Jack is working on, procuring, the new bleachers, which will be similar, I mean, we don't know exactly, which style yet, but which type of style is gonna be similar to what's in the field house at Kingston.
Wow.
So things can't get stuck underneath, it's like,
Yeah.
closed off. And it will have hopefully a button instead of the old school, and pull it out and hold nothing, comes off the wall with it. So it's, it's just, really bringing the public space into, a more modern look, safe, of course. And it will all be, ready in time for, our youth program, so very excited about it. They've been working like super quick. They're actually ahead of schedule, the way it seems.
Wow,
So, yeah, they also included the back of the stage, the balcony, the stairway going up, to our offices, but not, our offices are not, they weren't included in this phase. They really just want to focus on the public areas, the areas where the kids are, and that. The ceramics room, the office, hallway going to the parking office, and going up to health and wellness, which are on the left, the back left part of the stage.
Are your offices impacted by the asbestos and lead?
Yes. Mostly the paint, but I do think there's some plaster and the tiles, ceiling tiles, the floor tiles, we're told are asbestos tiles. So that is, of course, we want to focus on the, areas that the community are in and the kids are in, that was the priority. But it is, we obviously want our staff, and we all want to be in
Yeah.
safe.
Well, I'd like you to have a safe environment also.
Yeah, I mean, we spend 8 hours there, and we want, our offices to be,
More time than anybody else
Yeah.
spends in the building.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's, we as employees care about that as well, and, it's, I know that the mayor has that in his mind as well, but I think we have to be realistic about funding, and so this, gotta kind of take these things in phases, so I'm glad that the community areas are taken care of though, or being taken care of, so.
Great.
Yeah.
You're still working in out of your.
No, so we were relocated to 20 Broadway, the old visitor center.
Okay.
Yeah, we were told that it was safe for the staff to remain in the offices. The concern was the air monitoring system had to be somewhere where there was no foot traffic. Because the way those systems work, I guess, is any sort of fibers or dust that are kicked up, it kind of triggers, kind of like an alarm. And they can't determine what the fibers are, all they know is,
Something.
yeah, and so it could be a false, positive type of thing. So two of our project managers did stay in the building, because their offices aren't where the air monitoring were. But the contractors assured us everything was safe, everything was sealed off. They had triple layers to make sure nothing in the upstairs was affected. But the majority of our staff, were moved to 20 Broadway, and then the maintenance staff have been, using the pool house as their home base. So once this is done, once we get the okay, we just don't, the parking lot is still gonna have the trailers in there until they move everything out. So we just don't want we don't wanna create any unnecessary inconveniences for the public, so we're just kind of staying put until we have things cleared out.
Were they gonna do the gym floor? Or are they keeping that the same?
Gym floors stay the same, that's gonna have to be a different project.
I didn't know, like,
Yeah.
aesthetically or doing.
Yeah, no, nope, they left that the same, they really focused on obviously the asbestos and the lead. And, they're actually helping us with replacing, the door when you go up to the top of the fire escape, not the one that you actually enter through,
Yeah.
but there's kind of like the side wooden door. Over time, it's kind of become warped and, paint is peeled off of it. So they have actually, Novo's offered to help us with that as well. They've been great to work with. They're really, trying to focus on creating a safe space for the community. And so we're just super grateful for them. Yeah. So, yeah, so as soon as we're back in there, we'll invite you guys to check it out.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, we're gonna go for early voting, or on election day, it will be open and, I'm not sure how much painting they'll get done by then, but, it's really, when you step in there, it's just, you know, it's just crazy to see, just feels like a totally different place, but, yeah, so it's coming together.
Great.
Baseball clinic, I think I mentioned to you guys last time that we were working on something, to replace flag football. Unfortunately, I don't know if you, heard in the meeting notes or the recording, we did not have enough numbers, for a solid program. You know, there's other flag football leagues in the area that have really grown and kind of, just done a great job of running their league. I think it's run by a lot of volunteers, a lot of parents. And their program has grown over time, so, we unfortunately just don't have the numbers. Dietz, we really didn't have a lot of availability to use Dietz, which is a separate conversation. You know, and that's always been a big draw, is the kids play under the lights, and that's, you know, and when we can't guarantee that you'll be able to play at Dietz under the lights, it's, I don't know, I think it loses its luster a little bit, so. That's a separate thing, so, you know, we haven't completely given up on it, it's something we're gonna try to look at a little bit more closely and see what we can do, you know, to improve our numbers, kind of, you know, do some surveys, see what it is,
Maybe next year. Beats being accessible and grand thing to draw attention.
Yeah.
Because I know I did hear a lot of people saying that they did have interest, but maybe just not the numbers, you know, individuals.
Okay, gotcha.
So that would be good, there probably is a population of people who would like to participate and have it within their own, you know, area.
Right. Of course, because these other areas, you know, we're talking about Hurley or Saugerties, and, you know, I feel bad for the folks that did sign up, because some parents expressed this was their child's first year, to be able to play. It's really close.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It was really close, really cool.
That came up on there.
They get all of it. Yeah, really, you have to take a look at yourself.
Yeah.
We played for TV.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to examine that a little bit more closely and figure out what we can do, you know, to improve our numbers. You know, if it's a matter of cost, that's something that we can look at for sponsorships to help. You know, just see how we can get more people involved in that. But in lieu of that, we decided to kind of switch to a baseball clinic. For a while now, Chris, our rec leader, he actually played D1 baseball, he was a pitcher. You know, he and I have talked about wanting to do some sort of baseball program. Not necessarily a league just yet, but just trying to give the community a new type of program that to my knowledge, hasn't been offered through the city. But there's an interest, and especially for, you know, maybe the Midtown area, you know, a lot of those kids, maybe they're, you know, don't have the resources to join some of these leagues that have higher costs to them and stuff. And so this is kind of a trial to see how it goes, how participation is. Right now, our numbers actually are where we want them to be for a first year. For the young division, which is 7 to 9, we have, as of this afternoon, we had 9 kids signed up. For the 10 to 12, we had 7, and I think we had 3 for the 13 to 15. And so just before even starting, we've already gotten some feedback that we think maybe younger than even 7, you know, might be something of interest for parents, because, you know, if you think about it, even Biddy doesn't start until 7. We do have our clinic 5 to 7-year-olds, but they're still, you know, it's just something we're looking at, trying to appeal to even younger, you know, younger kids, to give them something to do as well,
I
so.
mean, you have to think about it, and this is no offense to any other leagues, but I mean, when I was growing up, we had 4 little leagues, we're down to 1.
Right.
So to have 9 already is, that's huge.
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah,
Mhm.
it's just like the one Kingston League, I think,
National.
Nationals gone, American, I think they use the fields, but it's, but
The
we're not.
leagues are.
Like, right, you used to play each other, like,
Right.
we would go to all those
Exactly.
fields.
And-
Yeah, that's all, and
Not
that's
those
what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, so I mean, all those leagues that had multiple
Right.
teams are now just a league of maybe three,
Right.
two, so I mean, that's a great turnout
Yeah,
for, if you want to look at it from that
Yeah.
perspective.
yeah, that is, thank you for that, because that, that definitely helps just, trying to understand that the need, I think it was always there.
Yeah.
That was always a popular program and stuff, so, it's possible that we can get to the point where we, have an actual league. But I think starting with a clinic and just seeing how these kids can develop over time and really hone in on their skills, we're just gonna kind of look at it and see how it goes, so.
Great.
Yeah. Indoor volleyball, because of the renovation project, we are starting later than usual. But the players are eager to get going, so as soon as we're able to get in, we will get started with that. I believe over 30 will start on time or roughly on time. Big will start on time, that won't be affected. We've opened up registration for that. As of this afternoon, I think we already had 100 kids signed up.
Wow.
That always fills up fast, so
Yeah.
if you know anyone that's interested, it really is important that people sign up early, because we do tend to see, once the season starts or leading up to the season starting, people reaching out saying they forgot, or, is there a place? The problem with that is we try our best to get in every kid, we don't like turning people away, but we also don't want teams of 15, and, then kids don't play, and we get complaints that my kid didn't play this game, or didn't play more than 3 minutes, and so we've really tried our best not to have more than 10 players on any team. Because that then at least has it ensures their subs, but also that it doesn't put the coaches in a really tough spot with substitutions. At least then there's 5 and 5 if they want to do a 5 rotation, or if they, have a different method, but we've tried to adjust our rules over the years to make sure that kids are assured a certain amount of playing time, bare minimum, it is, we want our league to be competitive, but we also want kids to learn, we want them to have a chance to learn, chance to compete, and, so that's something that we've been working on with our coaches, so if you know anyone that's interested, just encourage them to sign up as soon as possible. Another component to that is we have to have enough coaches, so if we don't have enough coaches, then we have to shorten the amount of teams we have. A lot of times we have returning coaches, which is great, but sometimes we have to ask parents if they're willing and able to, which is great, but it's helpful if we have volunteers step up for that. So just kind of keep that in mind as if people reach out to you.
Is there a flyer on Facebook or something?
Yep.
So to share?
Yep, it's on our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and I can also forward you guys a copy as well.
And then is there a younger, like how young do you go, just a 7?
7 is the youngest
Okay.
for, yes, and then we do our 14 and 18 in, well, actually, this past year, we did a spring league instead. Yeah, I don't know that we'll be doing it in the same way that we did last year. There were some concerns that were brought up, some safety concerns, security had to be present a couple of times. The time of day might have contributed to some of what we were seeing. We saw it as, so when we tried to change that up, we were trying to give kids something to do after school, and especially coming from the high school, thinking maybe we'd bring more participation, which it did, so we achieved that, we had more teams. I think we doubled the amount of teams that we had, which was great, we want that. But the spectators, it also tripled that amount, and sometimes, we have one employee there, and usually that person's job is to ensure that the games are running well, the refs are okay. Of course, they keep an eye on the building and the crowds, but when it becomes overwhelming, where there's maybe too many spectators or there's fights breaking out in the stands, that's where we run into problems. So again, that's something else we're trying to look at to see how we can modify that to hopefully eliminate some of the issues that we saw.
Sure.
But also not impact our numbers, because we want the participation, and that seemed to work, for sure. Because we were finding that the weekends were getting tough for kids that play other sports or they do travel ball.
Right.
So, and Sundays, church, there's, weekend trips. So it does seem like the shift in the day of the week was helpful. But I don't know, the time of day might be a little tricky. I don't know, so try to see how we can adjust that, in a positive way. If you guys have any, input or suggestions, I'd be happy to talk with you all. Okay.
So part B of discussion items, potential changes to Lou in Parkland. So we got this sent to us via the zoning board. Just kind of remove the input from the Parks and Rec Commission. Planning board may consider full compliance with affordable housing grounds, to discount projects, recreation fee in lieu of parkland, and acceptance of provisions. For the purposes of a discount, full compliance shall mean, including affordable workforce housing units required by another section that's there. I do think we need a little bit more clarification, as we did just get this, so we might table this for the next meeting to go over it further.
To have specific questions.
If you do have, please, please bring them up.
And they're generalized specific. The part about whether or not we have an advisory vote or advisory opinion that we offer as a group to whoever. I don't know. I don't know that I feel that that's so important right now anyway to me, but it's fees in lieu of parkland. So the buildings that don't have parkland-like space add to the load that the Parks and Recreation Department workers have to provide services. And so with those fees becoming to Parks and Rec in at least the proportion that they are now, there's one, and then this was made, a proposal made by the zoning board or by corporate or common council?
I'm assuming zoning, that's on the top of the page.
So it says, instead of requiring the planning board to formulate a finding of a need for parkland with input from Parks and Recreation, we suggest that all applicable site plans be required to pay a set recreation fee. So it does seem like,
So we would still get it.
Yeah,
yes, it's just not.
The way that I read it as we were getting the fee no matter what, with our input or without our input. But I think we should discuss it further as a group.
Yeah.
Make sure we have some clarification before we go yea or nay on it, as well as discuss it with the rest of the commission. But that's how I read it, but I would definitely like some more clarification on it.
And would our yea or nay go to them or to the common council?
I don't think we would have,
Yeah.
it sounds like there would just be a set fee.
No, I mean on this.
On this.
Yeah. Or do we have, they don't want to hear from us.
I think it's more, when I spoke to Bartek, I think he wanted me to share it with you guys, for the commission to provide any input, suggestions, feedback.
Yeah.
If, and so I do think those things will be taken into consideration. There's a working, group.
Maybe we can request, Steve to come in next meeting and, explain a little bit further, Steve
Right.
Shabbat, who's our liaison. So that might be something to ask him to come on in and, fill us in a little bit more. And again, we don't, not necessarily the legalities, but at least,
Well, I like,
a summary of.
I like what you read, that, the recreational fees are still there.
Yeah,
That's how I read it.
So that's,
Yeah,
that's the big matter that would concern me.
correct.
The process.
And it seemed like it was no matter what, no matter what, even if they did give parkland, we were still going to receive the fee. So, but again, clarification is
Yeah.
always needed. Before we vote on something, I mean, yes, getting sent via email is always great, that we can make our own interpretations, but we also need to know how the common council, the zoning board are going to interpret that as well. So that would be nice to hear.
I almost, like that idea because it takes the responsibility off of
Based on how,
this
how
department.
how I'm reading it, I agree with you 100%. But at the same time, I definitely just want a little more clarification.
Absolutely.
Just before we do say that yes,
Oh, yes.
that we're not saying yes to something that
Right.
Yeah, the
we're not,
clear
we don't
understanding,
clearly understand.
Right, you just,
Yeah.
right, we wanna make sure that it won't, that there won't necessarily be a negative, unintended consequence.
That we're agreeing to what we think we're agreeing.
Right, yeah. Okay, all right, that sounds good, so, I will make that request for Steve, or do you prefer someone from like this working zoning?
Well, I mean, it's addressed to Steve, so I'm assuming that he, got a little more privy to it
Okay.
than we did, but I'm okay with anybody coming in. Like I said, I just made the recommendation of Steve because I know he's our liaison and.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, right, okay,
But if Emily wants to come in or, because she's the conservation advisory council chairwoman. Again, another person that, or anybody, I don't mean to
Yeah.
call, I'm not trying to call anybody out.
No, I hear you.
But those two seem to me like those are the ones that are
yeah,
the heads of, decision makers.
okay, yeah. So I'll follow up with Bartek and ask, who would be the best person to come and kind of speak to us about this, okay?
Thank you, Lindsay. Great. Any other questions, comments on that? Okay, agenda number 4, old business. Any old business that needs to be addressed, that we can think of? I mean, I know Joe, he did mention last meeting, which I will, continue to bring up, is just around our neighborhood center.
Oh, yes.
Security.
So our staff is taking care of the, are you talking about the window?
Yeah,
Yes, yep, the window, so I brought that up with our maintenance supervisors. They had, 2 of our employees taking care of it, I believe, last week.
okay, great.
And I will follow up tomorrow to see if it's been completed, but I think they were working on it for a couple of days. But,
Yeah, I know that's something that Joe's very passionate about, so I want to
Yep.
make sure that.
yep, thank you for, I forgot about that, I mentioned it, thank you.
And the park that was renamed,
Yes, the Van Buren Street Park.
and
which
they
is
had
now-
that event. I was away, but they were.
It was very nice.
I drove past
Yeah.
on the way here,
You saw the sign, yeah.
Park looks, I mean,
Yeah.
again, park's in good shape,
Yeah.
which is, always what we like to see in here. But yeah, it definitely, at least from what I saw, it
Yeah.
looked great,
Yeah, it was a very emotional,
I'm sure.
ceremony, but Jeannie Edwards, and, the common council really, I feel like they put as much compassion into this and thought into this, and, it was a nice,
Yeah, I've seen Jeannie Edwards out and about, and she's very passionate about it.
very focused on the community, specifically her ward, so I think that shows in all her work, but yes, it was a very moving event, so.
So people may respect that space more now since it has
You might
a
be right,
specific
Mark.
name,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, right, there's,
Like you said,
yes,
maybe even just from the community standpoint, if
Yeah.
you see something out of place, someone else will go fix it, and so on and so forth, or at least bring it to the attention
Yeah.
sooner, yeah, yep. Awesome.
How's the, what is remaining at the Gate Stadium that needs to be done?
the grandstand work, mostly inside the grandstand.
Bathrooms.
Bathroom, yes, also the bathrooms, the locker rooms, the training room, the tunnel, where the athletes run out
Everything
of.
outside is done.
The exterior, except for behind, or actually, you know what? There are a couple of outstanding things behind the grandstands as well. There's a roped off area where the public is not permitted. But the turf, the track, the visitor side, I believe the practice field is still being, addressed, but that will not be open.
Right.
No one's allowed on that until it's
First,
spring.
football game
Yeah.
without a hitch,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
to a degree.
To a degree, yes, of course, but I think everybody, I mean, there's like all hands on deck. The school had a lot of staff there, our maintenance staff. We have 3 people working for the football games, kind of staggered in shift.
Mhm.
But it has helped, that the school district also has staff there and everybody's working together to make sure that it's safe and that everyone knows where to go. The school has brought in additional portable toilets, kind of like a trailer with toilets. And the visitor side has restrooms as well. The concession stand, I think the Booster Club is serving, their snacks and food and drinks and stuff out of. But yeah, I mean, every game there's something new, there's always some feedback, but for the most part, I think we're getting a good system going and trying to make the adjustments as they come up.
So there's like, what, 2 football games there so far?
I think just the one.
No, and there's one, is there one this week? No,
No, field hockey had a game the other day.
well, yeah, the other sports,
Oh.
yeah, oh, yes, the other ones are happening, but the football is obviously the bigger,
Okay.
the bigger ones, but yes, all the sports are there, all the group, community users have already started using
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity,
I mean, I'm saying that, but
yeah,
I heard the football game was pretty packed in there.
Yeah.
But the attendance was.
yeah, but I mean, to my knowledge, there weren't any issues or any major issues, I guess, nothing that was.
Interest, yeah.
Yeah, what, the kinds of things, just so you're aware, that have come up, we're waiting for the new signs to come in. So we do have temporary like policy, like rule signs up, trying to remind the public of, what's permitted, what's not. Of course, as soon as we open it to the public, some people are putting strollers on there and scooters and things like that. So it really is a lot to ensure that our staff are reminding people of the rules and trying to make sure that they follow the rules. Everybody wants to get on the field as soon as the school's done, so, it is, when it's open to the public, it's first come, first served, so it's a little challenging. And we also don't have a lot of availability currently for just open free hours. The school uses it pretty much every day. So it's a little tough. So we're trying to figure that out. We're trying to balance the coordination between the two agencies to make sure that we have a good schedule system. But yeah, just some growing pains, that's all. Yeah. Candy, that's what we're finding, smushed candy on the track. That's a problem, yes, gum, so we've added that, and granted, some people probably don't realize, but there's just shouldn't have food on the area. So that stuff is hard, like our staff are struggling to clean that without damaging the track or the turf, and so that's stuff like that. But those are the things we're just trying to figure out how to enforce better. Yes. So, we'll get there.
Great. Anyone else for old business? Wonderful, okay. So I think with that, meeting has come to a close. It's 5:42, and I would like to make a motion.
Motion.
Second, Maureen, all in favor? Motion moved.